Madam President, we've just heard from the senator from North Dakota talking about the imperative of ensuring that our borders are secure, particularly at the southern border. We had an opportunity yesterday in the Senate Appropriations Committee to hear from Secretary Austin and Secretary Blinken about the administration's supplemental funding request. And if there was one common thread there that was underscored over and over, it was the dire need, the immediate need of support for our allies that are locked in really two existential wars threatening both their sovereignty and their people. And so the support for both Israel, the support for Ukraine, in my view, is one that I shared with the two secretaries, that they are inextricably linked, and our support for both must be inextricably linked. We've all watched with horror as Hamas has unleashed this terrorist attack on civilians, killing more than 1,400 Israelites, taking at least 240 Israelites hostage, and then in Ukraine with Russia's brutal invasion of Ukraine homeland, killing over 70,000 Ukrainians in just a hell-bent mission to reclaim their old Soviet territory. It is times like this, Madam President, where I think we look to the role that the United States should be playing. We are not the police force for the world. We are not there to fight the wars for others. But when the world is watching democracy face direct assaults from terrorists and from authoritarian regimes, this is the time that the United States must be leading from the front. We have a responsibility to our allies. We have a responsibility to the world at large, and whether that is providing for humanitarian aid, promoting stability, or lending support through the most powerful military in the world. This is the United States. These are responsibilities that I think are significant, and that, again, others from around the world look to us for that leadership. Now, there are some who would suggest that we've supported Ukraine enough, that we should move and direct our attention only to our own borders, that the situation in Israel is such that we should focus exclusively there. As we heard yesterday in the appropriations hearing, we do not have the luxury of dealing with one crisis at a time. That would certainly make things easier, but we do not have that. And so to those who would suggest that we must abandon our allies in their most desperate hour, I would remind them that this defense spending comes right back to the United States through our own defense industrial base, providing an opportunity to refresh outdated war readiness items, making the United States stronger in return, as well as providing jobs to Americans. So this is not just about providing aid to others outside our borders. This is also helping to strengthen us. There was a comment that I had read: the United States can lead through the power of example, but in order to be most effective, we need the example of our power. It is that industrial base that we know we have work to do there. And then to those who say we need to be looking at home, again, as the senator from North Dakota mentioned, we must pay attention to those who are coming across our border, illegally, those who would threaten us from within. We cannot ever, ever lose sight of that obligation and the responsibility. But I think it is important to recognize that this supplemental request does include support for our Department of Homeland Security to strengthen our border. It also provides over $1 billion towards combating fentanyl, the devastating drug that has taken the lives of far, far, far too many Americans. And so that also must be part of this. What we're talking about with this supplemental is effectively 4 legs of a chair. Think about what makes that chair that you're sitting in stable. You got 4 pillars here. One essential imperative: we must be there to support our friends in Israel. We must be there. An imperative is to continue our support for Ukraine. We must address our southern border, an absolute imperative. And then that 4th underpinning that provides for that greater stability is the threat from the Indo-Pacific. And so, Madam President, I think we know that within the contours of this package that the President has sent to us, there is room to move things around. There is room to subtract or add. But I think it's these 4 fundamental pillars here that are so inextricably linked that we cannot lose sight of what it means and what our role here in the United States is. The violence that we see maybe across the globe, but the eyes of the world are squarely on us. Our enemies are probing. They're waiting for our response. They want to see what's the United States capable of. Can they only do one thing at a time? Can they only do one thing? And if they can only do one thing, who are they going to choose? Are they going to be there for their allies in words only? Or when things get hot over here, they're going to walk away over there? We've seen how that failure in Afghanistan has reverberated around the world, what it has meant to our friends and allies. Madam President, I would suggest that this supplemental package is measured. It's necessary as a strategic response. And I will tell you, our opponents are praying that we fail to take this up as, again, that balance. So we should discuss and debate the contours within, but I would hope that we would stand together, unite on a package that is good and is solid and stable for our country and that of our friends and allies. With that, Madam President, I yield the floor.